Hey everyone, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I am your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got John Lee Dumas, or JLD, with me. And many of you in the audience already know who this guy is. So JLD, welcome to the show, man. Or
Chris,
John.
honored to be here. Fired up, my man. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. So we got a full 15 minutes, and I know you're going to bring the heat, Fire Nation, and my audience as well. You're going to your socks knocked off on this one. So what's one of the biggest, I figure since we got 15 minutes, let's dive into one of the biggest takeaways or paradigm shifts that you've had maybe this year or lately. Like, what's one of the things that really transformed your life this year?
So one of the biggest kind of aha moments that I've had as of recently, is something that I've kind of known around the fringes for a number of years now, but it's just become so obvious to me, is if you want to be successful in 2020 and beyond. And again, this is really a now time type of thing, because before, in 2012, 2014, 2016, you didn't need to do what I'm about to say. You could have gone a couple different directions and it would have been fine. But now it's a different world. We live in a COVID environment. Everybody's going virtual. Everybody's getting online. Everybody's doing the thing.
Right.
If you want to win in today's world as an entrepreneur, as a businessman or woman, as somebody that's going to be an online marketer, you've got to identify one specific problem and create the best solution for that problem. Now, what does that exactly mean? It means you've got to go niche. You've got to get very specific. You've got to use that problem as your wedge to get into the markets, to make a name for yourself, to build a brand up. The days of just trying to be, this life coach or this guru or this or that, it's over. Yeah. And it's not over in a bad way. It's over in, like, you can still do exactly what you want to do, but it's got to be specific. It's got to be, you are providing the best solution to a real pain point, to one specific problem. That's how you're going to win today. And that's the only way you're going to win today. And guess what? After you win at that thing, at that level, then you can broaden out. You can add more things, more products, more services. It's not like you're writing your gravestone with what that one thing is. You're just getting your initial momentum, your initial wedge in there to then expand outwards.
Absolutely. So I know you got to niche down and get very, very specific, because today you can't be the jack of all trades, master of none. You've got to be very good. You got to be an expert at that one thing. And it's very difficult for many entrepreneurs to do, right? We've got that squirrel syndrome, that shiny object syndrome. So thank you so much for that takeaway and for that nugget, because we do live in this COVID environment. Things are quite different lately. How have you been adapting in this whole COVID environment? I know you've already been virtual. You're doing a lot of podcast videos, content. Have you changed anything, or has your business model kind of remained pretty similar?
Nope. Very little has changed for me. I'm pretty much living the exact same world that I was living before, minus some speaking engagements that obviously were canceled. I do keynote at a number of conferences every single year, and those conferences have unfortunately either been canceled or gone virtual. So, I'm still speaking at them, but on a virtual level, which is different. And I'm fine with it too, because, traveling has its blessings and curses for sure.
Yeah.
But pretty much, everything's steady Eddie for us, and definitely happy with it.
Excellent. So I guess another question I'd like to ask is, what's one thing that you'd like to focus on improving? Maybe something that you think you need to work on right now, because it can be very easy for entrepreneurs like at my level or in my audience to look at someone like with the downloads that you have with your show and see the income reports and just be like, man, how do I start there? I'm just trying to make that first dollar, right? So it'll be humbling to know like something that you think that you could improve, if you don't mind sharing.
Well, I'm going to take it non-business at first, and then we can circle back to it, because I can tell you one thing, and this affects business for sure, is in the health realm. Like one thing that I'm really focused on the remainder of this year and then into 2021 is with nutrition, like specifically the food that I put in my mouth. Like I've already got a lot of areas in my health life dialed in, like my exercise is great. I got a virtual trainer. I've got a gym built out here. Sleep is a huge priority of mine. Like I'm getting 8-9 hours every single night, high quality sleep. Absolutely. It's non-negotiable. I've even got a sport that I've now picked up and I love called pickleball. And I'm just like obsessed playing pickleball. In fact, I've got pickle wrist right now.
Pickle elbow or wrist.
I know. I wish it was.
Hit a handball with it. Is that?
No, it's actually a paddle. So
okay,
I was just like, and I never played before, so I just was playing too much, and I just overworked it, and I strained my wrist. But the reality is that the food that I put in my body is going to improve. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the preservatives that people put in the food these days, and the unhealthy fast food crap. And I eat pretty healthy for the most part, but I just want to take it to like the real next level and just really dial it in. I want to put a garden, here in my backyard, and like really just eat like high quality, non-processed, real food is where I want to go to. Beautiful. To kind of swing things a little bit more towards the business side of things, I kind of want to take my own medicine. For me, it's easy not to listen to my own advice because listen, I've got a business that's making, a couple $100,000 every single month. Most of that is net profit. I'm making multiple millions of dollars per year. I've been doing that now for 7 years in a row. So I've got, 8 figures worth of net worth. I've got a, big, bank account, like all of those things. But unfortunately, that stuff can kind of make you, I don't want to use the word lazy per se, but at least not focusing on the basics. Because the basics, as I shared at the beginning, are what is one big problem that you're going to solve better than anybody else? And for a long time, and how I built part of my fortune was doing that in the podcasting space. And I still do that with Podcasters Paradise. We have the best and number one community in the world teaching people how to create, grow, monetize their podcast. But at the same time, I got to sit back and be honest with myself and say, okay, what have I done lately? Like, what's one major problem that I'm currently tackling? And to be honest, there's nothing. So like, that's where I'm coming up short in my business space. Okay. And I don't want to just put something on my plate just to put it on, because I don't need to do it financially. I don't need to do it, business wise, life wise. But I always love having that one challenging project. And right now, frankly, there's just nothing really challenging me. I've got this very great system and team and process in place. So that's where I got to step it up.
It's interesting because a lot of us aspire to get to that lifestyle freedom, that level where everything's relatively passive to some extent. And I know nothing's 100% passive. You've got to be involved somewhat, right? There's no such thing as just mailbox money, no headaches, right? Even if you got rental properties, sometimes they're going to call you if the toilet breaks, even if your property management is on board. And so it's interesting now that you've achieved that level that so many of us are trying to get to, you're looking for the next challenge to keep you busy. And so I think there's a lesson there for those of us who think that that's like the final frontier that we're trying to get to, that ultimately maybe you get a little bored and you're like, hey, what's the next thing? How can I make impact? What's a problem that I actually want to solve, right? Like Elon Musk wanting to put people in Mars. I mean, he doesn't have to do that financially. He already was fine from previous companies, but he wants to do that and sees that as the best future for, I guess, mankind, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking for that purpose, for that. What's the next thing?
Yeah, that'd be nice. I at the same time want to maintain, like my sense of freedom and my sense of kind of like, day to day, like not going overboard. Like, Elon, he's a different animal. Like he just like wants all of that all the time. Everything. And you've seen it. You've seen like his relationship suffer and other parts of his life suffer as a result, which is fine because those are choices that he's making. Right. So yeah, I think that everybody, you need to like know thyself. And then when you know yourself and say, okay, what do I want to intentionally put onto my plate? Because that's how I look at my plate now. Like right now, there's been a point where my plate was overflowing in a bad way. There's just too much on it.
Saying yes to everything.
Saying yes and struggling and not knowing, what to say no to or how to say no. Now my plate's, got some room on it. Yeah. But at the same time, I want to be very intentional about what I put on there.
Right. No, and I love that. I mean, just the testament to the fact that how busy you are, right? You've got 15-minute increments. You jump on shows. I think I heard someone say that they heard that you time block and you do all your episodes in a single day. Is that how you usually do it?
1 day per month that I do interviews on other shows.
Like 10 hours back to back, just finish it all. That's awesome. So
I'm doing 37 of these today.
Gee whiz. So, I mean, just getting your name out there, getting on other shows. New podcasters that are coming up who are growing audiences are now funneling into your podcast and your courses.
Big time.
So this is huge because I've been playing with the schedule of, hey, what's the optimal schedule? Instead of breaking up podcast interviews, can I stack them all together? So, I mean, just seeing your process and the reminders that you send so people don't forget to get on the call. I think I got 4 email reminders from you.
Don't waste my time. Don't waste my time.
Because that is the worst thing when you log in and you're like, okay, did you remember? Like, hello, I sent you.
And like, honestly, like I just had someone do this last interview. They're just like, oh, like, I'm sorry that I'm 7 minutes late. Like, well, I'll take a couple minutes off the end. I'm like, no, you have 8 minutes starting now. Like, straight faced.
It's so true. And I'm valuing my time more and more. And I mean, I'm not even near the level that you're at right now, but I'm starting to realize that time really is our most valuable asset. And not everyone's going to value your time, right? So you have to be the one to stand up for yourself and your time. But I love
100%.
that. 8 minutes. Clock's ticking. Let's go. What's your question, right? So in the essence of time, I know I have 3 minutes. I keep looking down. I'm like,
Smart move.
3 valuable minutes. So what's one takeaway that you think our audience should do? Maybe something that could change their life today if they implement it?
Well, something that changed my life back in 2012 that literally has been the foundation for everything that I've grown and built is a quote by Albert Einstein. Try not to become a person of success, but rather a person of value. And so what you have to ask yourself every single day, and this is for everybody listening right now, is what am I doing today to be a person of value? How am I actually creating value for the world in an outward way? Like, what content am I creating that's helping people solve problems? And again, it goes back to that core thing we talked about at the beginning, which is you have to have the best solution to one real problem. That's how you're going to get initial traction and momentum in 2020. So what is that for you? Like, that's how you're going to win. What did Google do? Google just figured out how to deliver the best search result to your query.
Right.
Now they're a trillion X, company because of one thing they did better. They didn't try to do everything.
Right.
Amazon, they just figured out how to get you books that you couldn't get at your bookstore. That was the only thing they did. Now they do a million things. Now Google does a million things, but they started with one thing.
They started with one. And a lot of people think, hey, millionaires have 7 income streams. I need to try all these different things, have shares of different companies that are starting up. But really, you got to get that one thing successful first. So I know I'm looking at the clock 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Oh,
we can get so much done in this time. Isn't it amazing?
1 minute. Yeah. Your paradigm shifting me right now. I was like, I always thought I needed an hour, but 15 minutes seems to be like, there's a lot of fire that you dropped in the show. A lot of value. So where can our audience go to reach you, to connect with you? Obviously, your podcast is a huge one, but if there's any other links or social media.
So thanks for asking. Entrepreneurs on Fire is the podcast. I would love for people to check it out at your favorite podcast platform. I just want to be one of your 7. Keep listening to Chris's. Yeah. The average American listens to 7 podcasts. So make me one of your 7. eofire.com is my website. I've got a killer newsletter that will blow you away, not to mention a lot of free courses for you, completely free, on how to podcast, create funnels, create webinars, come up with your big idea, like just free courses for you to get you to that next level, because I know when you win, I win. So it's all amazing. So thanks for the time, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Enjoyed.
Great connecting with you. Enjoy the rest of your day. The other 30 or so, you're probably already well into it, but I'm sure you're going to enjoy the rest of your day and knock
9 more.
You got this, man. I trust in you.